We're live now, which is exciting because I was finishing up a thing on my game on my phone and I didn't realize the Tank pushed the button.
You timed it just right. You
But
honestly
he totally pushed the button, and so now we're live. So, hey, everybody out in the universe. Welcome to Nerds That Know. We are recording on a Thursday this week because last week was payroll processing. And if you'll remember our show before, I had to dip out early so I could go and run payroll. So we decided to not record last week. And so we are double dipping this week because yesterday we had My Brother's an Idiot with the Goons and the Voice of God, which was lovely. But now we're back, and Nerds will be again next week, so that'll be exciting. But no, damn you, fuck my. Sorry. Anyway,
I'm eating ice cream.
I was gonna try to pull something up on my phone because Mark is sitting next to me, and so then he'll be able to see the list that I have planned because
do you have a different list than my list?
No, just shush.
Oh.
Our game for this evening is Two Truths and a Lie. So I've put together a list of random facts about nerdy things, and I'm going to read them off to you, and then you have to tell me which one of those things is not true. Cool?
Cool. Yeah, I'm down.
We got it.
I
Two
love
truths
these kind
and
of
a
games.
lie.
These games are fun.
This version's going to piss off less people than my version of it. I'm assuming.
Yes, this is not Tank is a dick. This is I found shit on the internet, which, still dickish, but slightly less so. Okay. Fact number 1. Loki cannot swim. Fact number 2. Falcon is telepathically linked to birds. Fact number 3. Dracula defeated Blade over 100 years ago.
Number 3 is correct. That did happen.
Number 2 is correct.
Are you sure?
Yeah, in the comic books, Falcon is actually telekinetic. Or not telepathic with his bird. It's an actual bird.
I remember that with Falcon.
Yeah, in the comic books, it's an actual bird. Redbird is an actual
What was the first one?
Loki cannot swim.
See, I don't know. So it sounds like we kind of agree that one's not true.
If you're so sure about 2,
I'm sure about it.
I'm fairly sure about 1 or about 3 just because that's the way Marvel operates, but it could also be completely a lie. Like, they could have found a way to send Blade back in time and he lost, and then they, froze him and then he rethought him in the future or some shit. I don't know. Like, Demolition Man style.
All right, so we have said Falcon is... The fact is, Falcon is legit telepathically linked to birds. We all agree on this?
Yeah.
This one is a true.
I'm holding Frank to his knowledge of the situation. I don't know if it's true.
So, did Dracula defeat Blade, or can Loki not swim? I'm
going to say Loki can swim.
So we're going to go...
Oh, but no, I don't know about that in the mythos.
The Blade.
I'm going to... You know what, Frank? I'm going to say that Falcon... No, I'm going to say that the Blade... Yeah, I'm going to go with number 1 is the lie.
Same here. I think the Blade thing's accurate in one of the storylines.
All right, you guys are wrong. So, Loki cannot swim.
I wondered about that. That sounded like something from the mythos.
Okay,
so it's Blade is the one that's not true?
Correct. Hold on. I'm going to read you the actual truths.
Okay, cool.
All right. So Loki cannot swim. In the early comics, it was revealed that Loki's powers do not work when he's in the water, and he is so weak that he can't swim.
Wow.
Interesting.
All right. Falcon is telepathically linked to birds. All right. His sidekick Red Wing is an actual falcon.
Mhm.
Okay,
In the
in the
comics.
comics.
That tracks.
Now, Blade did fight Dracula, but Blade won.
Okay.
So that's where you guys got
Okay.
all mixed up. Okay.
I thought it was like a reverse Demolition Man thing.
All
I'm
right.
like,
You ready for the next one?
yeah, that was fun.
Okay. Fact number 1. Spider-Man killed Mary Jane with his radioactive semen. Fact number 2. Tweety Bird's real name is Orson. Or fact number 3. Patrick Stewart signed a 12-year contract for Star Trek Next Generation, knowing that the show would be a success.
He didn't sign it. No, that's not right. Because they didn't
Okay,
have 12 seasons.
I'm
This
going
is
to take your word on that
So
one.
we're going to say that this is before the show aired.
Okay.
Okay.
So before the show aired, he signed a 12-year contract knowing the show would be a success.
Okay. Weirdly
Or
enough,
Spider-Man killed Mary Jane with his radioactive semen. Or Tweety Bird's real name is Orson.
I am
Tweety Bird's
relatively
name.
sure that the first one did happen in one of the storylines. As weird as it is, I'm fairly certain that actually does happen in one of the storylines.
Tweety Bird has some fucking weird as fuck name too. It may not be Orson, but he's got some fucking goofy name. Because his real name is not Tweety Bird. There's something on the cage that doesn't say Tweety Bird. I don't know if it's Orson or not.
I'm going to be 100% 3. I'm 100% saying that I don't know 3. I have no idea on that one.
3 was... So there was...
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart.
I'm going to say that number 2 is the lie, but it's because his name isn't Orson. It's like Clint or fucking Bruce or some shit like that.
Okay.
Okay. I'll agree with whatever Mark says.
Item 1. Spider-Man does kill Mary Jane with his semen. In the comic books, there is a storyline in which she contracts cancer.
God, I knew they were going to go
from his
cancer.
Radioactive semen.
I knew they were going to go
and
cancer.
She dies because they have so much sex.
Wait, though. Yeah. Do they say where the cancer starts?
Yeah, it starts in her vagina.
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't know if it was going to be that or could it be mouth cancer? Throat cancer? Rectal cancer? Like these are all points.
Okay.
Where did it start?
Tweety Bird was originally Orson, and he was originally pink.
I knew his name was. I didn't think it was Orson. But...
Okay. Patrick Stewart signed a 6-year contract for Star Trek because he thought that the show would fail so quickly he would get paid for all 6 seasons and be able to go back to Shakespeare.
That sounds weirdly accurate.
And then he signed on for 1 more season and 4 more movies. And then 4 more seasons of another show.
Okay. All right. Next one. In the 1980s, Michael Jackson tried to buy Marvel Comics so he could play Spider-Man in his own movie.
Okay.
Next one is when they tried to make the Avengers movies, they couldn't get the Hulk sound, the roar, to be correct. So they had to use old recordings of Lou Ferrigno.
Okay.
Or Harry Potter is banned. Is the most banned book in this century.
No, that one can't be true.
Okay, number 2 2, I know they had an issue with the roar, but I don't know if that's why they did it. But they did use
Lou Ferrigno.
Lou
Which
Ferrigno's
is
roar
really
for part of
cool.
it.
That's such a cool fact.
I don't know if that's the reason
honestly,
why,
that's
but
one
I
of the
know
best
that's why.
parts of the King of Queens is he shows up in it a lot because he's the
Mhm.
next door neighbor.
Number 1, I know that Michael Jackson was potentially involved with purchasing part of Marvel Comics. I don't know if it was because he wanted to play Spider-Man, but there was actually a thing there at one point.
Okay. I'm going to go with 1 just because it sounds wild to me.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the sake of playing Spider-Man, that's the part I can't figure out. So that sounds like that might be a partial truth, but you turned it into a lie. So number 1 is the lie.
Yeah.
Number 1 is the lie, but the only thing I changed was he did it in the 1990s, not the 1980s. He
Really?
still tried to buy Marvel Comics so he could play Spider-Man.
Didn't know that. That's wild.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Especially after you watch Men in Black 2.
True.
I could be Agent M.
Yeah.
He was kind of an adult child, right?
He very much was. Hence
was
the
kind of the
monkeys and
thing.
the Ferris wheels and stuff.
Bro owned a petting zoo with a Ferris wheel.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay.
So the third one was true, huh?
Yep, the third one was true.
What was the third one again?
Harry Potter is the most banned book in this century.
Trying to think of any. Huh. Okay, yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of book bannings, so
Yeah. That's going around.
yeah, including
She
the
does
dictionary.
she does not stray away from controversy, that one.
All right. Next set. All right. Henry Cavill, Superman from the Man of Steel, was next in line to be cast as Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter, Edward Cullen in Twilight, and James Bond in Casino Royale. But he lost all 3 roles. Number 2, the Catholic Church has a 10% ownership of a major German publisher, Wittbild, I'm probably saying that wrong, who published Da Vinci Code, Harry Potter, erotica, and esoteric literature. Or is it that the famous rock opening scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark was lifted directly from a Scrooge McDuck comic book in 1954?
No, number 3 is actually factually correct. I've actually heard about when Spielberg and Lucas were doing that, and they've actually pulled that straight from it. And it was so impactful that they used that at the Stuntman thing that I think was still at Epcot until a couple years ago. They had the Stuntman thing, and you could watch the Stuntman do the set. They had a bunch of Indiana Jones stuff, but that was one of them, was they had that. So I think number 3 is actually absolutely correct.
The one I'm
number
having
1 is confusing because there's a lot to unpack there.
Well, number 1, I know, if I remember correctly, one of those is true. I don't know about the other 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was on the short list of people to beat Bond before Daniel Craig.
He was. And
I don't know about the other 2.
I don't know if he was ever supposed to play Edward Cullen. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I've watched one of those movies and read 0 of those books, so I have no idea.
I could see it, though.
Maybe. If they wanted to make him a little more cool.
Cedric, though?
I could understand potentially the Cedric thing because he was supposed to be older, and when they made that movie, I mean, they could young him up enough, maybe. But he still would have been
Young him up.
because he would have been in his early 30s when that was made?
Probably.
No, late 20s.
Late 20s? Okay.
But I mean, you have to think the actress who played Moaning Myrtle was 34.
True. But
Yeah.
she looked young even when she was in Doctor Who, so the number 2 sounds real, and the only reason I say that is because a lot of things after World War II were kind of sketchy. So them gaining ownership of a German company at some point there sounds like it's possible.
I absolutely think that one is real.
So we're
And
gonna
I'm
go with
pretty sure
number
number
1.
3 is real. So I'm going to say number 1.
I think I'm going to agree with you, and I think one of those movies is not accurate, or maybe 2 of them.
Okay. Number 3 is completely real. It was from a 1954 Scrooge McDuck comic book. Number 1 is also completely real.
Wow.
So yeah. Edward Cullen, Cedric Diggory, and James Bond all could have been Henry Cavill.
Huh.
But number 2, the Catholic Church does not have a 10% ownership of this German publisher. They have a 100% ownership of this German publisher who published the Da Vinci Code, Harry Potter, esoteric, and erotic literature.
That makes sense. That tracks.
So
That
as the
tracks.
Catholic Church is going out and buying these books to burn them, they are making money off themselves.
Okay. Now, the Catholics don't burn books.
Mm.
As a recovering Catholic, I can tell you that.
Okay. Can we say that the ones in the South do?
They're not Catholics, though, most of them.
No.
They're Christians, but most of those aren't Catholics.
All right. Last one. Or yeah, we'll do the last one. Okay. This one, I'm gonna give you guys 4 items. No, I'm not. I'm gonna do 5 because I really like this other one on here.
And how many are left?
2 of them will be lies.
Holy fuck.
So of the 5, 2 will be lies.
I gotta stop eating this ice cream and pay attention.
All right.
I should just stop eating this ice cream anyways.
So number 1, the Disney character who has appeared in the most films ever is Mickey Mouse. He is also the fifth most published comic book character behind Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. So that's Mickey Mouse. Item number 2, in the Marvel Comics, Santa Claus is actually the world's most powerful mutant ever registered by the X-Men. Item 3, Robin Williams wanted to play Hagrid in Harry Potter, but was told no because J.K. Rowling only wanted British actors in the films. Item 4, Michael Jackson wanted to make a Harry Potter musical. And item 5, a decade after Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone came out, Neil Gaiman also published a comic book about an English boy who finds out he's a wizard on his 12th birthday and receives an owl from a magical stranger.
I think the 5th one is right.
Okay, so number 2, I don't know if they ever qualified it as the most powerful mutant, but Santa Claus is considered a mutant in X-Men comic books. So
yeah,
pretty sure number 2 is correct.
He fits into most mythos lore pretty well, right amongst, demigods.
Yeah. So that one, I
one.
believe that.
So I'm going to say 2 and 5 are probably correct. What was 1, 3, and 4?
1 is
6.
the Disney. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
1, The Disney character who's appeared most in films is Mickey Mouse. 2, Santa Claus is the world's most powerful mutant ever registered by the X-Men. 3, Robin Williams wanted to play Hagrid. 4, Michael Jackson wanted to make a Harry Potter musical. Or 5, a decade after Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was published, Neil Gaiman published a comic book about an English boy who finds out he's a wizard on his 12th birthday and receives an owl from a magical stranger.
2 and 5, I'm fairly certain are real.
Yeah. How are we feeling about Robin Williams?
That one's throwing me off a little bit.
I'm going to say that one's a lie. So I don't think, like, although Robin Williams did, like, seek out roles, you know, like the Fern Gully thing. Like, he was only going to be in Aladdin because he wanted to be in Fern Gully. You know?
Yeah.
He went to roles a lot. So that's what's confusing me there. Mickey Mouse, and I'm trying to think of all the things he's in. I don't know. I don't think he's
in the most Disney movie. He's featured in the most Disney movies. Sounds possible. And
so here's the thing is, like, are they counting just like appearances of Mickey, or are they counting just like the Mickey heads? Because there's hidden Mickeys in everything.
I would assume that it's actually Mickey as a character, and that still could be accurate. You got to remember, they did a shitload of Mickey Mouse movies, like especially short films and stuff like that. So
and all that House of Mouse shit that they came out with in the 2000s.
Exactly, and him being the fifth most produced character in comic books is entirely possible. They've been making Disney comic books for 80 years. So
we're going 3 and 4?
I guess. Those are the ones that seem the most questionable.
All right, are you ready for the answers?
Yes.
All right. Number 1. Donald Duck is the character who's appeared in the most Disney films, and he's the 5th most published comic book character.
That could make sense also. Weirdly
that's interesting.
Santa is the most powerful mutant ever registered by the X-Men. Robin Williams did ask to play Hagrid, but Rowling turned him down because she only wanted British actors.
Well, she just hates fun.
There is that. Michael Jackson did try to make a Harry Potter musical. He actually went to J.K. Rowling personally with the idea of turning her book series into a musical, and she shot it down. And then item number 5, it was actually 7 years before Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone that Neil Gaiman published a comic book about an English boy who finds out he's a wizard on his 12th birthday and receives an owl from a magical stranger.
Okay. Oh, so she ripped him off, huh?
That was sneaky.
So
sneaky on that one.
Well, all of the facts that I had, I just turned them into slightly untruths.
Yeah, you were being sneaky.
So yeah, interesting.
That was good. That was interesting. I like it.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting stuff in there.
Let's see. Other random facts that I had pulled for this particular game includes when Hugh Hefner bought the crypt next to Marilyn Monroe because he wanted to spend eternity with her. Yeah. And other random facts about Marilyn Monroe and, just random stuff in general. That Ghost Rider became the king of the underworld.
Yeah, I knew that one.
So, yeah.
He also becomes a cosmic Ghost Rider. That one's crazy.
Oh, this is another one I thought was really interesting. Mel LeBlanc, who was the voice actor to most of the Looney Tunes characters.
Yeah.
His gravestone reads, "That's all, folks."
I actually
As
did.
it should. As it should.
So
That guy is a genius. You know, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig. And
Oh.
they were all so different voices, you know.
And the reason Tweety Bird became yellow is because when he was pink, everybody thought Orson was naked. Because he was like a pastel pink.
He would
I
look
could
like
see
a little
that.
penis.
Yeah.
If he was pink, he would look like a little penis.
And that was the problem everyone had.
Was he looked like a penis?
He looked like a little penis. All right. So going from Tweety Bird being a tiny dick to Disney Plus, let's talk about what's new on Disney and coming to Disney. Mark and I just finished Iwaju. Did I say that right?
I think so. Iwaju, yeah.
On Disney Plus, which is different from anything else that I've seen in a while. It's the story of this little girl, single dad, and it takes place in the future. So there's robots and hoverboards and flying cars and all this stuff, but it takes place in.
I believe it's Nigeria.
Yes, I think you are correct. I'm gonna double check that. Yep, Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But future Nigeria.
So like her dad is like a major tech developer. The bad guy is from the mainland, and he thinks that the people who live on the island are spoiled, and it's really cool. And then there's a magic robot gecko.
Yeah, it's like Pascal on cocaine. Like literally.
Cool.
It's like
and
Pascal.
And he has robot abilities.
And what was the name of the stupid dolphin from not Flipper? Darwin from Sequest, because it has the voice.
Yeah.
But then also kind of like Battlezord-esque. It has like a Nike pump feature.
So each episode is only about 15 to 18 minutes long. It says that it's 20 minutes if you actually click on it on Disney Plus, but there's like 4 minutes of credits at the end. They actually speak in native Nigerian dialects, which it says which dialects they were on the subtitles when the subtitles were working.
Yeah.
And they even talk about they're using pidgin, so the phrasing and stuff, sometimes it's difficult to follow, but I'm a subtitles person anyway. And the subtitles kept turning themselves off on our TV, which I don't understand. But it was really cool. It was very different from anything else that we've seen in a really long time.
Yeah, it was a little bit, they even made a very big point at the beginning to talk about how this little girl just turned 10. It like all happens on her 10th birthday, basically, this whole thing. And it seemed to be made for a kid who was like 10 to 14, and it slightly less child themed, directly. Still a lot of bright, flashy imagery and fun and that kind of stuff, but there was a little bit more serious tone to it, which I actually enjoyed. Which is probably made for someone that's like a 10 to 12-year-old. So,
Although
I enjoyed the shit out of it.
I would say your oldest will really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so too.
And your youngest will enjoy it because the lizard is cool.
Yeah, and changes into a big pink lizard. That's like it's Zord. It Zords itself.
Yeah.
It was good though.
And then we have a bunch of new stuff coming out to Disney. It's not out yet, but X-Men 97, which we've talked about, is coming out soon. I've actually started rewatching the old X-Men cartoon because that is now available on Disney Plus. So today, while I was doing emails and working from home, that was on in the background. Because that's what I've seen so many times. It can just kind of sit on, and I don't have to actually pay attention to know what's happening.
I came home and grumbly Wolverine was yelling at the television, and I was like, "My childhood."
And then we'll have a couple new shows coming out shortly. We have Ironheart, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, the Daredevil show, and Spider-Man Freshman Year, as well as another one that's coming out at the end of March called Madu. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This one is again in Nigeria. And this is about a young boy who wants to study ballet. So
Tackling all those things.
it sounds a little bit Billy Elliot-esque for those who are familiar with the story of Billy Elliot. He was a young English kid whose dad was a miner and wanted to learn ballet and dance. And his dad wanted him to be a boxer, and he becomes this world famous dancer. So I'm interested to see this one. Because like I said, it's a 12-year-old kid from Lagos, Nigeria, who wants to learn to dance. So
Interesting that that's from Lagos as well.
right.
That's 2 shows from Lagos.
So going to go ahead and skip over the fact that Disney Plus is losing streamers and subscribers because they're, charging a lot and they don't like people sharing. So
yeah, I think everybody's
anyway.
first quarter calls that we're going to be getting to here, there's Netflix is going to have one of these if they haven't already. All these other companies are going to report a lot of losses because they are cracking down on the multiple account sharing. They're not doing a great job of it, but they're still cracking down on it.
Yeah, the problem is that I still really enjoy having Disney Plus and watching it, and especially now that Hulu is on there. It's like I've been rewatching some of the Veronica Mars episodes because those are fun for me. So when they increase their pricing by $3 a month, they're seeing their numbers going down. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens and whether or not that causes anything to change.
It's
I wouldn't
really
bet on it.
fun stuff to fall asleep to on Disney.
Well, and it's they lost 1.3 million customers, which yes is a lot,
but not in the grand scheme of Disney.
Yeah, not in the grand scheme of Disney. Their Disney Plus catalog is so deep that they're constantly getting new subscribers also.
Yeah.
So
well, and they're it's Disney, so they're diversified. They're working on getting people back down to Florida to go check out the parks, go out to California and see what's going on there at Galaxy's Edge. They want people on cruise ships. They're not wholly vested in the money in the movies and stuff like that on Disney Plus, but they've got other things going on. They're doing just fine.
And they also just bought a stake in Epic Games.
Yes.
So
can't wait to see Pluto on Fortnite.
Oh, Deadpool's already on there.
Right.
So
Winnie the Pooh on Fortnite? Come on.
That'd be fantastic.
Oh, I'd love it.
But yeah, so they're doing other things with their money. I'm sure they don't like that they lost subscribers, but I'm sure in the grand scheme of things, it's not impacting their pocket that much.
Well, I agree.
And let's face it, every year something different happens. There's everything. The consumer is digesting things differently every year, and Disney is owning up to the fact, and they stay on the progressive side. So that them getting into Epic Games is, they're acknowledging that there is a lot of money to be made on the the sports, the electronic sports side of it. So
yeah, and they already own ESPN. So
correct. And ABC.
And
they're fine.
A lot. They own a lot.
Own half the world, so it'll be fine.
I think they have the 5th largest navy in the world.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Which is actually just freaking crazy.
And they're in the top 10 in size of Air Force, too.
Yeah.
All right. Before I start getting sad about the fact that Disney controls a large portion of our planet, let's go over to one of Mark's favorite movies of all time is The Crow.
Yeah.
Um, I had not seen it before we started seeing each other. I have seen it now. I absolutely cried. It's lovely. It's brilliant. It's dark. But it's also being remade. So the new version is supposed to come out, I believe it's next year.
2025.
Yep.
The guy who's making it is the same guy who, God, he just did a couple other things that I really liked. So I'm trying to keep an open mind, but I feel myself slipping into, you know, guy who tells people to get off their lawn. I can't remember what else he's done. He just did a couple other projects. Snow White and the Huntsman was one of his, the recent version.
Mm-hmm.
There was another movie that he just came out with not too long ago too, but he's come out with some good stuff. That in the way he talks about it, he wants to make sure that they represent what Brandon and the original team was trying to do. This seems like they're taking a completely different take on it, where it's about, instead of a crime syndicate, there's more of an ex thing involved, a jealous ex-lover type thing, and they're going into it a little bit differently with the mindset of they're going to show how the relationship develops and stuff. So it's got more of that, like, remember at the beginning of Deadpool where Deadpool doesn't become Deadpool right away. There's going to be more of an origin story instead of, you come in and they're already dead. The main characters are dead in the first 2 minutes of the movie in the original Crow. Sorry, spoiler alert. It's been out for 30 years. If you haven't seen it yet, you're fucking doing something wrong. It came out in 1994. So we're talking about a movie that's 30 years old at this point. Eric Draven and Shelley are dead at the beginning of the movie. And they're going to go more into their relationship and showing how that develops and showing why it's so much that, you get a really good sense of it in the 1994 version, but I think they're going to show more of that tragic love story aspect before, conversion into the superhero character who defends and defeats all of the bad guys.
And so actually this will be out this year, June 7th.
Makes sense. It's the 30th anniversary.
So that'll be out this year, right around our 3-year anniversary. So yeah. I guess I know what we're doing for that.
I'm interested. She, my lovely wife, Duchess Bobby, got it right. This is not one of my favorite movies. This is probably my favorite movie of all time. So I am trying to keep a very open mind. I want to see what they do. I'm going to go see it. I love the original one. I cry every time I watch it, to be honest. Not to mention just the Brandon Lee story. It's just a very good story. And the soundtrack is one of the best that's ever been put together. And the casting is just incredible in the movie. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. It was a way before its time Marvel movie, in the sense of there's a love story. There's, the comic book aspect. It's dark. There's humor. But I don't know. I'll be interested to see what they do. The screen caps look good from it so far.
What are your thoughts, Tank?
I'm interested at this point. I think Skarsgård's an interesting choice.
Yeah, Pennywise.
He's definitely less muscular than Brandon Lee was. So it looks like they're kind of going for a more haunting look, it seems like, for The Crow, which that could probably pay off going that direction.
Yeah.
But yeah,
more into the ex-musician thing.
Yeah. I'm I'm interested in seeing where they take it. If they're going to alter it a little bit, that's, cool.
The long-haired guy. What's that character's name?
The long-haired guy.
Cash Money.
Top Dollar?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah. Top dollar.
Cash money.
So
Yeah.
Cash Money.
Cash money.
He has a new name now. Right? He has a fucking serving tray of cocaine at one point. So I'm curious if that character is still going to be, you know, in this, because like you were saying, they're going with her past as opposed to the Dark Crime Syndicate. But I feel like Top Dollar really was just done so well in the original.
Yeah, Michael Wincott is a god amongst villains, man. That guy is just genius at everything. You know, he's getting his heart cut out with a spoon at one point. You know, and he's the. If you are a fan of the Halo game, he is the main villain in the original Halo series. He's one of the main guys. That's the Michael Wincott, the same guy. He was also in a lot of Westworld. He was in a lot of the Westworld stuff. So I love some Michael Wincott. He's great.
Okay.
Quick impression for you. Caw, bang, fuck, I'm dead.
So this is your reminder to watch the 1994 movie before the 30th anniversary and the remake. It comes out. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just realized you were kicking the microphone.
Dang, could you hear me kicking the microphone?
Not much. It's okay.
Okay.
It actually wasn't coming
cool.
through that far.
Put my foot here.
You're okay.
So my back has been kind of shit this week, which is why we're recording from the sofa instead of from the office area where we would normally be recording. But okay, but since you were just talking about Halo, let's go ahead and jump over to that. Season 2 is so far fantastic. We've seen, I think, the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, we've seen 2 episodes. There are now 5 episodes out, with the remaining 3 to be coming in the next couple of weeks, with the finale being on the 21st of March. I did research.
Look at you go.
I know. I read things.
All right, so Tank, I'm just going to fucking break everything.
Here, let's just move this one way over here. There.
I like to break things. Tank, what do you think about season 2 of Halo?
So far, I'm really enjoying it. You know, I loved the first season, to be honest. I know there's a lot of people still pissing and moaning about it, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. I like that they're kind of doing their own interpretation of the story. We are still getting elements from the series that previously existed between the games and the books and stuff like that. There's elements that are coming through, and I just think it's great. I think it's great because you're getting a lot of depth for this character, whereas as cool as he was in the video games, the depth of, you know, the character isn't actually that much. You know, he's a badass who's got some weird past that you barely know anything about. Even through all of the games, you still barely learn anything about his past. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's cool that they're really going in on that, giving you history where the story didn't actually exist before. And that's my favorite part of it.
John is so good as the Spartan. And you can see all of the different things he's going through, you know, and he plays it so well. The character development is awesome. In the article that was tagged in the lovely agenda that was put together, they actually mentioned that in Halo, this is actually a pocket universe, so this is not part of the canon in the show. They admit to that when they're writing about it. So this is its own entity entirely, which I think is awesome. You know, gives more depth to the series, honestly. It's been great.
So I have never played Halo. I know we talked about that a little bit when we were talking season 1. I have a cousin who was obsessed with Halo, actually made himself full Master Chief armor. He's not a cosplayer. He just made himself full Master Chief armor for funsies. Mm-hmm. He made it out of corrugated cardboard, but like he did it like stacked and stuff to like give it the dimensions. It looked
Interesting.
really cool, and I was just like, I don't understand, but that's awesome because but I am really enjoying seeing more of the character development. I like that we still have Cortana.
She's awesome.
I do think it's really interesting watching this show and then looking at cosplays that are happening and the fact that we're getting a completely different perspective on on the warriors, on the characters, even on the Doctor.
Oh yeah, she's a fucking monster.
Cortana or the Doctor?
The one that
The Doctor, Halsey?
Halsey, yeah.
Yeah, Halsey's a fucking insane person.
Yeah, what a
She's
fucking
an insane person. But, going back to, and we haven't seen much of this yet, but it is canon in Halo that Cortana is also psychotic.
eventually, yeah.
You can see it coming the entire time. She's crazy the whole time.
And they, even all the way up to the most recent with Halo Infinite, they kind of delve into that issue that she has of, well, it's because of what she's based on. She's based on a human entity. She's based on a human, so she absorbs some of that and learns some of that behavior.
Are we bringing in a special guest?
Yep, we're going to bring in a special guest here. And happy birthday to Dad, who is on speakerphone while we are live on Nerds That Know.
Oh, well, I did not know we were on Nerds to Know, but I'm just calling to say you're messing some. We're on Nerds Now. Hey, we're on Nerds to Know. Yeah, that's awesome. We just called because I just got a wonderful voicemail that just made me laugh and smile. You just got a voicemail that made you laugh. Great time. We can't wait to see you all. Looking forward to seeing you.
What is happening at the farm right now? This is hysterical.
Mom is copying you.
So we want to say to the McPoffles.
Yeah.
Poffles, we're going to say, we love you. We love you.
All right, so it's Daddy's birthday, so everybody out on the interwebs, wish my father a very happy birthday. We're not going to talk about how old he is, but let me just tell you, there are not enough fingers and toes combined in this household or in this building, which is a 15-unit complex, to cover how old my dad is.
And we also got to give perks to his wife, who has kept him alive this long.
Oh, yeah, and props to Mom for not killing him. All right, we love you.
Love you.
I'm turning it on now.
Hell
All
yeah,
right,
we love you guys. Talk to you on the internet.
Bye. All right, so it's Daddy's birthday.
I guess I missed the fact that I was doing that the entire time we did our call. I was your hype man, huh?
You were the hype man.
That's fantastic.
So they went out to dinner to the Greek place with the melty cheese. I can't remember. Jake and Tully's or something like that.
Yeah, that's the Greek place in Old Colorado City. That
has the melty cheese and the really good
sangria.
Well, yes, absolutely that. But I was gonna say the other food, calamari.
Ah,
okay.
I don't know. I've never been there.
Me either. But they have gone several times.
Sounds amazing to me.
It's normally a girls' trip.
Yeah, your wife, my wife, number one, and Mom tend to go there often.
We take Sherry too.
Oh, yep.
We need somebody to be the driver.
Do they have lamb?
They do. Speaking of your wife, her birthday just recently passed, and close to her birthday was the premiere of Madam Web. I believe. I believe that you said you were going to go and see that film.
I did go and see that film.
How was it?
And what did you think? Do you and the critics agree? Because you don't normally.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I'm kind of on the critics' side on this one. And that's not to say that there was not an interesting story here. There was a very interesting story buried in something. Like, I think an issue that they ran into, because it is actually interesting, this story takes place um, primarily in 2003. So this would have been roughly the same time as Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It is not connected to that. It was originally supposed to be a Andrew Garfield Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and then it was then connected to Tom Holland Spider-Man because the birth date for Peter Parker would have lined up at that point. And they decided to disconnect it from all of those. So there is no official Spider-Man tie-in except for the fact that the characters are from the Spider-Man universe. And you get all of the pre-Peter Parker characters. Ben is there, Mary Parker's there. You know, you get all of those people. There's even a mention of Richard, who's Peter's dad, except for he's away on some kind of trip and you don't know what's happening there. And it's focused around primarily, why can't I think? Cassandra Webb, played by, what's her
Dakota
face?
Johnson.
Dakota Johnson, thank you. Cassandra Webb and her kind of her mom disappearing and dying when she was born is kind of where the story starts. And a bunch of things happen, a bunch of weird things, you know, coincidences pile up and all this kind of stuff. And she becomes connected to three teenage girls through these flashbacks or what's precognition things that she's having. And those are Julia, Maddie, and Anya, who are different versions of Spider-Woman in the comic books. So there is a story here, but I think they had to do an aggressive amount of reshoots and they had to do an aggressive amount of ADR for this movie. Like the main bad guy is Ezekiel Sims. I would guess that they maybe have 10%, maybe 20%, that'd be at the high end of his on-screen speaking from what they originally shot. I think most of it was done in ADR. He's not in a lot of the scenes where you hear him talking. You can't see his face. And I don't think it's the original guy either. I think they have a guy doing an impression of the guy playing Ezekiel Sims doing the ADR, which is interesting when that's a big chunk of the movie is why this guy is fighting against the Spider-Women and Madam Web. And
so is it worth going to see? Do you wait for it to come out on streaming?
I'd say if you are a Spider-Man universe fan, it's worth watching. Not going to see it in the theaters, I can't justify it. The reason I went is because I had a free ticket, basically. And so I was like, screw it. I have time to go watch it. Let's go watch it. And
so for one of these biggest Spider-Man fans we know, Mama Sue, is this one for her to go and watch in the theater and drag Pop off? Or do they wait till it comes out on streaming?
yeah.
Although, alternatively, are there enough Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney shots to keep Pops entertained?
Yes. There are enough to keep Pop's attention for a little bit, probably. And here's the thing. The acting, minus the weird ADR for the main villain, is actually good. They do a good job of trying to tell you a story through the 4 Spider Women characters. But you can tell that it was chopped up and there was something else that was supposed to happen. You can tell that there was a lot of other movie, a lot of other story that was supposed to take place that for whatever reason they ended up chopping up into what they ended up going with. I don't know why they did it. We don't really get a clue as to why the story seems so disconnected in certain parts and so rushed at the end. But there had to have been more story there, and they just got lost. They got lost in translating the story they want to tell into the story that they ended up telling. Something got lost.
All right.
And it's unfortunate because the premise of the story, super interesting, but they screwed it up with weird stilted scripting and After Effects and all kinds of stuff.
Well, the next movie we'll be reviewing is going to be the sequel to Dune. The second one just came out last week. I'm pretty sure that the King Goon has already seen it. He's the biggest Dune fanatic that we have. Although Tank and I are pretty close, and Goldagoon here is definitely joining the Dune fan club. So that'll be the next movie that we talk about. We have tickets, going through a drawer of gift cards, found that we have 2 passes and free snacks for AMC theaters.
That's a good day right
So-
there.
So going to go and do that.
But we're not going to get the popcorn bucket.
Oh,
And
the
if
weird,
we do, we're not going to use it for popcorn.
I was going to say the weird sex sleeve that they turned into a popcorn bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
thing.
There is a video going around of a guy cosplaying Paul Atreides riding the sandworm,
Yes.
and the sandworm is on like an electric scooter,
Yeah.
right? And so the poles that he uses to ride the sandworm are the handles for the electric scooter, right? And it like goes like 5 feet behind him. It looks very cool. So try to find that video and we'll repost it because it was very awesome. Okay, continuing down the list on our agenda, or I guess technically jumping back up, Picard season 4.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize there was going to be a season 4.
I didn't either until I saw this, which makes me excited. So the 3rd season ended on 4/20 last year.
Nice.
And 4/20 this year will actually be a palindrome, which is very cool. And not just if you do a 2-digit year, even if you do a 4-digit year, it's still a palindrome.
That is really cool.
And then that will be a whole kickoff to a week full of palindromes. But the rest of the palindromes will have to be if you do it with only a 2-digit year instead of a 4-digit year. But it's very exciting. This has not happened for, many, many years. I think it's like over 100 years that we've had a full week of. But anyways, it's very cool.
I think that's awesome.
Because it is a palindrome even with the 4-digit year. And I like palindromes. Race car. Race car is a palindrome.
Yeah, no, I love it. Taco Cat. That's my favorite one.
Okay, so
It's true. Taco Cat.
okay, so Picard season 4. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Patrick Stewart's health is not doing super great. So I'm excited that we're getting a season 4 just because I'll take as much screen time of Patrick Stewart as I possibly can. I think the greatest thing to have come out of COVID and the quarantine was the fact that he was reading a Shakespeare sonnet every day. And now I have that all saved.
Yep. Any Patrick Stewart we can get is great, even if he's kicking a cartoon character over a mountain, into a mountain.
He threw him
That was
into the mountain.
Threw him into the mountain.
So, where is it?
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the date that it's supposed to come out.
Not
I
on
didn't
Palantir.
see one.
No, it. All right. So, anyways, while Mark is looking that, season 4 is not 100% confirmed, but Patrick Stewart has said that he is in for it. It's just a matter of whether or not his health is going to allow him to do it. But fingers crossed we get a season 4. I have very much enjoyed Picard. I like that we're getting a lot of the characters from Next Gen, from even Voyager, which really we got to keep the good ones and the rest of them are gone anyway. We did not celebrate.
No, we talked about this. The fact that we did not celebrate Threshold Day this year.
It was on the calendar.
It happens in January. Do you know about Threshold Day, Tank? We celebrate Threshold Day every year.
All right. And on that note, we're going to skip over it because it's upsetting because Captain Janeway should be held for crimes against humanity.
That's extermination of an entire species.
Yeah, that's the episode where she turns into a lizard and has sex with another crew member who's also a lizard.
Tom Paris.
Then they have little lizard babies and leave them on a planet
to die.
To, survival of the fittest because
they
she's
were like,
I don't want to have your lizard babies. And he's like, I don't want my lizard babies either. So she was like, cool, we're going to jettison those fuckers.
They were like giant green axolotls is what they were. That was the kind of thing they were, like giant fucking green water dogs.
Don't badmouth axolotls.
No, axolotls are awesome. When we were in Dallas
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we went to 2 different aquariums back to back. And we got to see a bunch of axolotls.
A lot of axolotls.
The pretty pink ones, some black ones, some Dalmatian spotted looking ones. There were lots of pictures. Oh, so which reminds me,
big ones, small ones, some as big as your head.
Before I get into our final item on the agenda, I do want to just do a shout out to Meow Wolf Grapevine. The exhibit there was freaking amazing. It was so cool. They had hidden Easter eggs all over the place. Stuff that if you have been to all of the other Meow Wolves, you can see how it's all becoming interconnected now. You're definitely seeing diversification in the artistry, in the styles. The staff there was incredible. Had a lot of really fascinating things to add to the story. Before you even go in through the front door, they give you a little bit of a backstory, so you're not walking in blind. Which at most of the Malwolves, you do kind of, the Denver one.
Yeah, you just kind of fend for yourself a little bit. I mean, there's some explanation at the Denver one. And
the Denver one, you get a little bit from the transit authority as you're in the elevator.
Yeah.
But
the supermarket, they just are like, you're in a supermarket, have fun.
And even Santa Fe, they don't really give you anything. They just, which I enjoyed that about those places. But knowing that Grapevine and then Houston, which is the next one to open, are tying the stories together, it's really nice to see how they're working that. The cast and crew there was just fabulous. The alternate universe that they talk about in Meow Wolf is called the Real Unreal. So
it's like the real world, but it's unreal. And so like
it's a lot like the Upside Down.
Yeah.
From Stranger Things. So this is Happy Gary. He is an invisible creature unless you have been to the Real Unreal, and then you can see him. He is a water creature.
He lives in a jar.
Yeah. And and I believe he eats sea monkeys.
Yes, he does eat sea monkeys.
That is a weird combination of animals.
He is
Right?
fucking
He's like-
adorable.
He's part seahorse, part flying squirrel, orange and purple. He's very cool.
And very fucking cute.
But again, big shout out to Grapevine Meow Wolf. As always, Meow Wolf is fantastic. We did not spend as much money as we wanted to in their gift shop, but that is because we had to fly back to another state. Although we did bring the extra large suitcase because at every place that we went to, Meow Wolf, the Dallas World Aquarium, the Grapevine Aquarium,
And Build-A-Bear.
and Build-A-Bear, we got stuffies.
And Rainforest Cafe.
We didn't get any
stuffies
at
there, no.
Rainforest Cafe.
But I got to
We
talk
did
to an elephant for
go
like
to
2 hours.
Rainforest Cafe though.
Did you know they still have like functioning Rainforest cafes with like the fucking characters and shit?
No.
The
There-
food was pretty good.
Yeah, the food
It's-
was above average.
It's better than the shit that Landry's serves at the aquarium in Denver. It's Landry's, so it's the same, you know? And then the lady was trying to sell us on the loyalty program, which is fine. I have no problem with her doing her job. But like there's only 2 Landry's restaurants in town here. And one of them is that shit pile at the aquarium that's downtown. And then, yeah, I don't know what the other one is, but neither one of them are close. But point being is we had really good food there.
Really good service.
The service was incredible. And I got to talk to an elephant for like 2 hours.
And they kept
Oh,
having,
nice.
rainstorms, and the gorillas were freaking out. And we had just recently watched George in the Jungle.
Yeah. So every time the fucking shit went off, she and I are both like, go ahead.
Like, Bungogram.
Bongogram.
And it didn't help that the elephant's name was Tuki Tuki,
Yeah.
which is the name of the bird in George in the Jungle.
Yeah, it was a Tuki Tuki bird. So Bongogram, Tuki Tuki. And then there was like 8 birthday celebrations that happened, and every time I sang.
So at the birthday celebrations, they were bringing out the Rainforest Cafe Volcano, which is a volcano made out of brownies and hot fudge, and it's filled with vanilla ice cream. And it's about the size of this cup, right? So for those of you who are just listening and not watching, I'd say it's about 8 to 10 inches tall with about a 6-inch base. What?
That's 6 inches right there.
So 8.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
My measurements are decent, and if I think something is slightly larger than it is, you should be grateful. Okay, so, but like watching this like 3-year-old
She's talking about other things.
try to eat the volcano cake was really funny, and many a volcano cake got left uneaten on tables.
Hardly touched, because so they have a burger on the menu, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was like the Monster Burger. And when you order a Monster Burger at a restaurant for like $18 to $20, you expect like 2 6-ounce patties, right? This was like
Tank is nodding for those of you at home.
this was like 1.5 pounds of meat, bro. And like I asked for it rare, it was rare. It was like eating fucking like a tube of hamburger.
Oh.
It was delicious.
Slightly warmed up.
It was warm. There was like, grill marks on each side, but it was awesome. I ate the whole fucking thing, and then my stomach hurt for the entire rest of the trip.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to eat that much raw meat, buddy.
No, but it was awesome. It was very good.
That's a tiger meat situation.
Yeah, yeah.
So Texas was quite the success. We had a great time in Dallas. Really enjoyed Grapevine.
Happy Gary.
Meow Wolf was awesome. The aquariums were great. We posted some videos and photos on our TikTok and Instagram. Some are on Facebook, but definitely check us out on all the places to see all of the very cool things that we did. Oh, yes. And
You would appreciate this.
Oh, Got a giant mudkip.
I have a fucking giant mudkip.
That's fantastic.
Which is the Kipper the Canadian.
His name is Kipper. He is Canadian.
Because if you look at his face, it looks like the Canadians from South Park.
Yep.
It does very much.
Mudkip to me is the Canadian Pokemon because he looks like South Park's version with the beady eyes and the flappy head. I am a big fan of Mudkip. I think he is ridiculous. And the best part about this Mudkip is he doesn't sit upright.
He's so top heavy because of his head.
His head is so big and his body is so wee that he just is like.
But we got him a little rain suit. He has a little raincoat and a little rain hat.
And he's got a hat that comes off. Here's a Mudkip.
I like it.
Fucking awesome, bro. I figured you'd appreciate that one.
I do.
While we were at Build-A-Bear, I also built myself a new stuffy friend. She is a little Packers fan teddy bear wearing a Packers jersey and sweatpants. And we chill because half the time we match. So this is what I got when he got Mudkip. I got my Packers fan. Her name is Jay for Jordy and Jordan.
I thought it was interesting that they actually had a Packers jersey in Dallas in February when their team got eliminated by the same team a month before.
Well, it was probably, just they didn't have many.
No, they had like 2.
Okay. All right. So last thing for us to touch on before we call it a night. I spent too much time on my computer throughout the day because I work from home. And a list popped up for me today of 20 films everyone should see before they die. And I thought we would run through this list of what Wealth of Geeks thinks that we should all watch. Let us know if you have seen it, if you haven't seen it, and whether or not it belongs on this list. And then we'll all add an item to the list at the end. Other than The Crow, which we've already discussed, is Guldagoon's favorite film of all time. So the first movie on here is Inception. And I have actually not seen Inception.
Really?
I have not.
Okay.
But I've heard that it's fantastic. It's unique. It's just, I'm not a big DiCaprio fan. I know I shouldn't say
That's
that.
weird.
I'm a girl from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like I should want to, do, but I don't. Maybe it's because I hated his Romeo and Juliet, or maybe it's because I saw Titanic too many times, but I'm just not a DiCaprio fan.
You didn't like his Romeo and Juliet?
For me was
that Mekhi Phifer in that one?
That is Mekhi Phifer. I am not a big fan of The Departed, and I should be as a person of Boston, but that movie does Boston no justice, and so that's the only thing. I liked Inception a lot. It's Christopher Nolan's it's
high concept Christopher Nolan.
What's that?
It's his weird high concept Christopher Nolan story.
Yeah,
right.
It's like The Matrix, but Christopher Nolan, and it's very interesting. I wouldn't put it on this list though.
I would agree with that. I don't think it's one of the top 20 movies that you need to see before you die.
All right, next on the list, The Shining.
This deserves to be on here. No other commentary needed from me.
Tank?
If I'm reaching into Kubrick's bag, I'd go Clockwork Orange, but The Shining is a really good movie.
All right.
I agree with you, but The Shining is his best movie.
It is a very well done movie, and it's a very creepy movie. And for those reasons, because of the time frame in which it came out, it did a really good job telling a story.
All right. Next on the list is Incendies.
Don't know this one.
It's
I don't know this one either. It's by the same director who did Blade Runner 2049,
which was
Dune.
great.
One of the Dunes.
Yeah.
And Sicario. So
He's the one who just did the Dune, the one
Yeah,
that's
the
Okay.
one
Well,
that's-
it just on the list here, it just says Dune.
yeah.
And there's
It's
been like 87 of those, so
it's the
yeah, I
current
don't know
ones.
anything about this one.
yeah.
I've
neither
never
do I.
heard of this movie, but I could be good, maybe.
I'm in the same
Interested
boat.
to
I think
see
we're
what it
all in the
is.
same boat on that one.
All right. Next is get commercial auto insurance quotes. Okay, moving on. Reservoir Dogs.
I love Reservoir Dogs.
It doesn't need to be on this list.
Of all of Quentin Tarantino's movies, I think it's the most dynamic and interesting. And it's how he's kind of got started on his actual directing path. So I could see why it's on the list, I guess. Because
It's a fine movie. It's okay. It's good. It's a good movie. I wouldn't put it as you have to watch this movie. And if you don't like aggressive swearing, you're not going to watch this movie.
no, this movie is very aggressive with the language. But I mean, that's Quentin Tarantino.
The word fuck is in that movie about 780,000 times.
I will say, though, the cast is awesome.
Oh, agreed.
The
So
cast is
should
amazing.
we put
And
this
Michael
in like
Madsen.
the top
holy
100
shit.
movies you should see, just maybe not in the top 20?
Yes.
I will say, if you've never seen Tarantino and you want to kind of get an idea of what he does, you should go see that movie. You should see this movie because I'd actually lean towards Reservoir more. Pulp Fiction is probably a little bit more widely accessible, but I think Reservoir Dogs is better.
Any of his vampire movies.
Those technically weren't his movies. He was only a producer.
Yeah, he was just in them.
Okay, next. I'm pretty sure that Papa Mac is going to agree with this one wholeheartedly, and that is It's a Wonderful Life. This is one that we watch religiously every Christmas Eve while Mom and I are wrapping presents. Mark is continually filling up the wine glasses and making sure we eat. Dad is watching It's a Wonderful Life with all of us.
And falling asleep
And yelling about Zuzu's petals.
And this one I actually agree with, and not only because it is a good movie, but it basically started the Wish genre.
Not only that, but it's, a reclamation story, and I'm always down for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jimmy Stewart just does such a great job in this film.
Oh, God. Yeah. And then hearing about the fact that he was actually going through some shit, and this was his therapy, that the shit that he was showing on screen was very real.
You can see that
yeah.
when you're watching it.
It was very much about the war, but it very, very much painful that he went through it. It helped him. So.
Okay. Speaking of war, next on the list is Schindler's List. This is one that I do think everyone should see once.
Yes.
I do have people in my life who this is like their go-to movie.
How?
And I don't understand that.
That makes no sense.
But like the red coat, which is one of the most iconic things about Schindler's List, because the whole thing is in black and white, and then when you just see like the one little girl in the coat, I highly recommend this film. It is very intense. You will cry, and if you don't, you have no soul.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal movie, to be honest.
Yeah. Which is one of the things I actually appreciate about it. I think a lot of the films discussing the Holocaust that aren't like a documentary, they're very soft. Even like Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which great book, fabulous film, but it doesn't really show you to that same degree.
Yeah.
All right. Next on the list is Whiplash.
This movie, everyone tells me that I think that this movie would be awesome. It was okay. It was okay. It was cool. It was neat. Not one of the 20 greatest movies that you have to see before you die. The story was uplifting. It was a great story. It was fine. It was a fine movie.
Tank.
It's a fine movie, like you said. I think, God, I mean, what carries that movie is J.K. Simmons, right?
Correct.
And he is, I'd say anything with him in it is probably worth watching.
Yes.
And that would be why would be the only reason I'd agree with this movie being worth
Must
watching.
watch.
Yeah, it's because J.K. Simmons is so dynamic as an actor.
Yeah.
And that he is
Okay.
by far the best part of that movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Great story. Great movie. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
All right. Next on the list is The Lives of Others.
Don't know this one.
I've not heard of this one before. This is a Cold War era Germany and domestic espionage.
Yeah, it's all the basically what if everybody was NSA
Huh.
kind of a thing during the Cold War where everyone was snitching on everybody. What if just humans had access to this kind of level of spycraft?
Interesting.
And it is actually a decent movie. I wouldn't put it in the movie you must see, but
How old is it?
God, I can't remember. I can't even remember.
Will you look that up?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mark is looking up The Lives of Others.
Thank you.
Moving on to The Man from Earth.
Don't know this one either.
I do not know this one.
2006.
Okay,
There
The
you
Lives
go.
of Others is 2006?
Yeah.
Tank, have you ever seen The Man from Earth?
I have not. I have no idea even what it's about.
All right. So all of us are either going to have to watch this or not. But it is on the list and none of us have seen it.
Ziggy, lights on.
Looks like you're trying to use something from another household account. Should I control the living room lights for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is what happens when you're in a room that has the lights on a timer.
Those lights turn off exactly at 9:30.
Okay. The film next on the list is the film 1984, based on the novel. So
Read the
thoughts
book
on
and then
1980
watch the movie.
What's that?
Read the book, then watch the movie.
Read
Yeah.
the book, then watch the movie.
And if you want a better version of the movie that has an uplifting ending with a lot of the same people in it, just go watch V for Vendetta and do yourself a favor. It's a much better movie, and it's about the same shit. It's 1984 is about Big Brothers everywhere, and it's the same shit that's happening now with everybody's watching you and everyone's out to get you and that kind of thing. And V for Vendetta has the same kind of thing going on. It's just a much better movie.
All right, let's go ahead and skip over to the next one. And I agree with this next one on the list, and that is Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, absolutely.
Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. So I think that this is a fantastic psychological type of movie. And I think that it's beautifully done. I think Anthony Hopkins is ridiculously talented. Tank, thoughts?
It's a great movie. Great psychological horror movie. Yeah, Anthony Hopkins just creeped the shit out of everybody.
If you
And
like movies where you get creeped out and you just are on the edge of your seat the entire time going like, what the fuck is going to happen next? This is where you start. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen this movie, you're doing something wrong. I like this movie a lot.
The whole serial killer
our
subplot.
16-year-old niece just finished reading this book.
Book is good
With
too.
her
Holy
book
fuck.
club in high school, so it's very cool.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
They read it for October for their Halloween book, their horror book.
Yeah, that's just very adult for 16.
Well, it's a optional book club that's an after school thing.
Okay.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, next one. Next movie is Into the Wild. I've not seen this one.
I know of this one. I have not seen it.
It's according to the description on this list, it has maximum sensory delight.
Okay.
And on that note, we're going to move on.
Road trip's better.
Okay. All right.
Euro trip.
Number 13 on the list of 20 is Braveheart with Mel Gibson. So the funny thing about this film is I have a very good friend who studied history in college and actually lived in Scotland for a semester. And this is a fun movie to talk about with her just because her face does this weird contortion-y thing as she tells you all of the historical inaccuracies and then proceeds to tell you why it's a shit movie.
Yeah, have no understanding of this time frame of England. And it's actually a decent movie because it is a very, fighting against, the throne, very interesting story in that manner. And it's, obviously ends in heartbreaking fashion for the main character. But yeah, you have to have no understanding of what happened in the history to not catch all the what the fuck moments that occur.
Why do we have somebody from... Isn't he Australian? Who's technically American at this point, playing somebody from Scotland?
I don't know. Why is the only Scottish guy in the original Highlander playing the only Egyptian guy?
The Egyptian Spanish guy?
Yeah, the Spaniard.
The
I'm
guy
just
from Spain.
saying, the only dude who's legit. Anyway,
I don't like Braveheart. That may be a hot take. I don't like that movie. I don't at all.
It's all right now because you're PBFF.
I hate that.
One who?
Yeah, I figured you were talking about somebody who I can't talk about.
Well, it's just because you don't ever talk to them directly.
I can't. I'm not allowed to.
All right. Next on the list is Good Will Hunting.
I will agree with this one wholeheartedly.
This, I think, is an incredible film. I mean, it really put Matt Damon and Ben Affleck front and center. Robin Williams just does such a good job in this film.
Teaches you all about how aggressively cunty people from Boston are.
Yeah, the whole thing. It's beautiful. It's so absolutely. That's South Boston, and it's Harvard. It's you get a real sense of what it's like on the streets there. They're much nicer people than that, but you get a sense of how they are to each other. How that New England attitude is, where hey, I'm your friend. I'm gonna punch you in the penis and then call you the worst person that's ever existed. That's just the way it is over there, and. They love that. But no, it's a really good movie, and Robin Williams' performance, that's another movie I'll cry almost every time we watch. Especially when he's telling the story about the Red Sox tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is one of the ones that you should watch. Yeah.
Absolutely. This one deserves to be on the list.
All right. Now this is one that Tank is gonna disagree with all of his tiny little frozen black heart. And that is the entire trilogy of Lord of the Rings.
The whole fucking thing they put on the list. They put it on as the trilogy. I laughed out loud when I saw that. Tank, to you. Tank?
For those of you who are listening and can't see my dear sweet little brother,
I think
he is shaking his head and turning a couple different colors.
I think I just saw Tebow Alley appear on Frank's face.
So, for those who don't know at this point, I find this series of movies insurmountably boring because it's just about...
He's not even talking about the director's cut.
No, oh God. I could not... It would take a lot of acid to make me do that, I think.
Short people take a long walk.
Short people take a long walk. The most interesting thing about this movie is Second Breakfast.
Second Breakfast!
All right.
And yeah,
All right. Next up on the list is Fight Club. Brad Pitt. This is a movie of the late 90s. So I have not seen this movie from beginning to end. I think I've seen all of it, but not in one sitting.
Yeah.
I would say yes, for the reason that it really speaks to the nihilistic outcome of the 80s, because the 80s were so excessive, because the early 90s became so dominated by money and that kind of culture, and the fact that a lot of this movie was sponsored somehow by Starbucks makes it hilarious. But for the very nihilistic approach to money and that attitude, this
Well, if
movie
we're
is
going with
worth
something that
watching.
was sponsored by Starbucks, isn't there an episode of Game of Thrones?
What about Cerveza Cristal?
There you
Have
go.
you been following along with the episodes of Cerveza Cristal?
I have not.
They found some dead. I can't go into it. Look up Cerveza Crystal on your off time.
Okay.
I'll send you some links, Tank. We won't talk about it here.
We'll probably do a little 5-minute outtake just for Mark to go into that, because it's his new obsession.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, next on the list
But
is.
I'm sorry, I did not.
No, go ahead.
I agree. It should be on the list. It's a good movie.
All right, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I didn't like this movie.
And I understand why you don't like this movie. I actually
Why?
do get
Because
that.
I don't understand why I don't like this movie.
You don't like this movie because you are a diehard romantic. As much as people don't think that about you,
I know that about him.
You are an aggressively romantic person. Probably a lot of people don't see that. And this movie is the opposite. This is the pain of love. This is the unfortunate outcome of heartbreak, is what this movie is.
I think you're right. I didn't like it.
All right, next on the list is one that I hated, and that is the 12-hour-long FedEx commercial, also known as Castaway.
I agree with you on that premise alone, that this movie should not be watched by everybody.
I love Tom Hanks, and if we're going with an aggressive, there's another movie on this list that absolutely deserves to be there. But if we want to put something that's just a very aggressively Tom Hanks film on this list, it's not Castaway, because that's just him just shouting at the earth for 3 hours.
And enjoying the fact that FedEx delivers everything.
And, probably molesting a volleyball at night when we're not watching.
I'm sure he was doing that to the ice skate.
Wilson.
Because the volleyball didn't have a big enough hole in it.
Maybe it did.
But because it floated. Okay. I will agree with this next one, and that is The Godfather.
The Mr. Rogers movie is what I would say. That movie was awesome. Anyways, The Godfather.
Godfather.
I'm with it. The first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump. That's the other Tom Hanks movie on here.
It deserves
to be.
And
that is number 20 on the list, is Forrest Gump.
When I did this exercise earlier before, I said 6.5 of these 20 movies should be on this list.
I think I'm about the same. I think I said 6 or 7 of them, yeah.
Yeah. But Forrest Gump definitely deserves to be on there.
Yeah.
So we're going to recommend that you absolutely watch
Forrest Gump. The
Crow.
Which is not on this list.
Hannibal Lecter, which is on this list.
Yeah.
The Godfather.
And then what film would you add to this list, Tank?
Ooh. I think I'm going to... This is kind of a follow-up from what happened a couple weeks ago. I think I'm going to put Heat as a movie that everyone should watch. And that's just because of how it fulfills that crime, suspense, action movie thing that I think you need to feel that, how intense that movie actually is, at least once.
Yeah. All right, babe.
I offered some suggestions already on alternates for some of these movies. A big missed opportunity for me is the first Matrix movie. Just the groundbreaking film style and stuff like that. Another one would be The Forbidden Kingdom, which is one of my favorite movies that is tributing a lot of kung fu movies and stars Jet Li and Jackie Chan playing multiple characters. That movie is fantastic, but I'm going to go with one that we've talked about on almost every cast this year so far. The movie that should be on this list is A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Which is
Not
why I
wrong.
didn't have to say Muppet's Christmas Carol or Muppet Treasure Island, because obviously those two are always very high on our list. But I'm going to add Tombstone.
Oh,
Ooh, good one.
that's a good one.
So that is one of my favorite Westerns. I think it's fantastic. I think the cast is incredible. I think you get a different look at a lot of different character types. And there weren't any Westerns on this.
No, there weren't.
There weren't.
So this list is obviously severely lacking. So please, everybody out there, tell us what film you think we need to see before we die. And we will add it to our ever-growing watch list on one of our 800 streaming services.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of movies I would add to this list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We may end up just throwing together a list and putting it out on our social media. So go ahead and look for that. This weekend in Colorado Springs is Cosmicon.
That's what it is.
And so Galdagoon and I will be there this weekend in our cosplay regalia with a couple of the nibblings, also doing full cosplay. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll also be celebrating Papa Mac's birthday this weekend. So go out here and send him your well wishes and happy birthday thoughts, and we will pass those along. Tank, you want to drop all of our socials?
Yes, you can catch us on the Nerds That Know on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, I believe.
X and TikTok.
And TikTok. There you go. You can catch us next week with the My Brother's an Idiot podcast some point. You can find me on all the socials at Tank Knox or Knox Nostalgic Collectibles.
You can also follow King Goon on TikTok at King Goon Smoke. The My Brother's an Idiot is the Goon Squad.
My Brother's an Idiot on Facebook. It's private, so search us. We'll let you in. Another great way is Twitter and Twitch. We are at the Idiot Goons. And yeah.
You can also follow me on all forms of social media as Duchess Bobby. That's going to be on Facebook, Twitter. I know it's called X now. I just can't bring myself to say that. And TikTok and Instagram. So follow us on all the things. We are grateful for those of you who stayed with us and watched live all evening. We are looking forward to giving you all sorts of info on Cosmicon this weekend. And if you're there, come up and say hi. I'll be in the big blue Cinderella dress.
And if your name is Terrence Hawkins, you could probably go fuck yourself.
Hey. All right. Good night, guys.